All right. Well, welcome to the Almost Perfect Cast. I'm Bobby, or also known as WDrM.
I'm Eesa.
I'm Drew, or Word.
And I'm Zephyr, and hopefully you just muted me when you edited that. Yeah, Bobby, he's here with us enough. It's like honorary fourth host. You're not a guest anymore. Our rule is like a guest only shows up once a year, and you're here again. And like we also have another guest here later for our main topic. James Landino is joining us to talk about the music in this game, how your music gets in this game, what it's like being a music rhythm gaming artist. It's great. Like you'll hear all about
AI
it.
music.
A plus interview. We might have already recorded it. But hey, first we got so much to talk about. We always do. What's first, guys? Updates. There's so many things that have happened in the last 2 months. We were supposed to do another podcast like a month ago. We all got sick. Like I got sick, and then like 3 days later, Word was sick, and like we were trying to line it up with a guest, and it just never lined up. We'll have that guest again eventually. They're cool. What else has happened? The tournaments have happened, right? We got tournament updates.
There was Bite.
Yeah, Bite happened.
I didn't watch it though.
Tony
I wasn't
won.
able to.
Big shocker. I also was not available. Like I was just crazy busy that whole weekend. I've been
I didn't get to watch
booked
any.
getting everything in my life going. But yeah, they had 40 something people, or was it more? Was it 50 or 60? I don't know. They had 4 machines. I think 3 of them were used for competition, and then 1 was just a strict warm-up machine. They had the heft. They brought out the cabs. 1 was a converted like Word, like your cab. It was converted from an all-in-one into like a compact cab sort of deal. They got the thing. They bought the thing with the arrows on it. You know, the thing that Eesa's sitting on right now.
Nice.
And the week before that was Panini Fest. Non-SMX, maybe someday, maybe.
Yeah,
They did,
I mean,
they
it's
did
close
3
enough here.
dance
Like,
music games. They had DDR and ITG and Pump It Up. I did watch that one.
We could make it there, couldn't we, Eesa? That's close enough. I think
Right,
they just don't have
it's in Colorado, and all the Colorado people I've met are super awesome. I should have gone next year.
Maybe. Like, they got to get a cab, though, so I don't think Colorado has a single public cab in it, or at least not Denver. Panini Fest in Denver or somewhere else?
I think it's in Colorado Springs.
No, that's
You're
nowhere
right.
near Denver, is it?
Or no, is it Denver? I don't know.
I don't know. We got to get on this. I'm the person standing on her stages.
There's
out in the
one
ether.
cab in Colorado Springs. It's at an
the
urban
cab
air.
is in Colorado Springs.
Oh.
I don't
Is
think
that where Panini Fest is?
It's probably not in the trampoline.
No,
park.
maybe Panini Fest is in Denver. Maybe that's why I was confused though. But and then also there was the Michigan tournament thing.
Oh, Midsummer Melody. Yeah, that did happen since our last podcast. I don't remember who was in. We're being too many
I
tournaments.
gotta watch that one. Tony won that one.
Tony won that one. What a shocker! Well,
yeah.
I wonder what
Hintz got second and Jimbo got third.
And I gotta just say, what was Hintz thinking? Pocket picking Blood Rush. He had already played Tony on Go 60 Go previously and dominated him. And apparently Hintz has 100 Go 60 Go.
Okay.
If you guys didn't see that, he has.
Yeah, well, the mistakes on Hintz. Jimbo took second at Bite 2, I think. Jimbo has like been tearing it up in the last year at SMX. I know he played, what did he play before? But he's moved over to SMX and just been really doing a lot. He's coming out to Red October. I'm super excited about that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Now, granted, Tony's coming, so you might guess who's going to be seated first in both full and wild division.
Well, it was
the
a
reigning
battle
champion.
of really good players last year at Red October.
Have you looked at the sign-up so far this year?
No.
It's only getting the competition's only getting fiercer, and partly because some of the same people are getting fiercer. Look at
I don't think all the same people get to come though. I'm not sure.
Not everyone gets to return, but we're up to 32 people, so I don't know. We're forecasting somewhere between 50 and 80 people to show up. So see how many show up. Hey, there was a song drop, right? Guys, some music came out, I think. It's like
Wait, you forgot to say the last tournament, the online teen tournament.
Right. Well, that's been ongoing, and you guys, it hasn't even wrapped up. That wraps up. We'll talk about it next episode. Team
Me and
Puppy
Bobby
Cat,
have
you
only
guys,
lost 1 point so far.
You've lost 1 point, so you've lost a match or lost one song.
One song.
We lost 1 out of the 3 songs once.
And are you in the top division, or are you in the next one down?
It doesn't really make sense.
It's a little complicated.
They split it up into too many different difficulty levels.
No.
I'm
Is
sure
this-
we would lose the match if we had to play against Anna and Udai.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
They
Well-
seem like the best.
I think next year more teams got to sign up so that those divisions feel a little more full, and it feels a little more.
You got to make teams a bigger part of Red October so that Anna and Udai will come all the way from Japan.
That'd be awesome.
When I ask like all the best teams, like when I ask Team Mana, hey, what do you want out of a team tournament? They're like, make it really casual and goofy and fun. That's what they told me. Okay. Like I ask for the feedback. I'm like, what do y'all want? And they're like, make it silly. And I say, okay, we make it silly. Like I would love the serious, but that's what happens online. Those guys you can compete against them online. It's fine. It's not like those.
Well, they're just so amazing. I want to see them in real life sometime.
I mean, fair. Like, don't we
Maybe
all want to
next
play
year.
Disconnected Disco together, right? But-
Yes.
Yeah, these songs, they came
The
out.
Son drop, and by Son drop we mean Son, singular Son.
Singular.
No, Speed King came out with 4 other songs. I can't remember their names. DMT, Dancing in the Dark, and what were the other ones? Hang on, I got my cab sound unplugged so I can actually just look.
I forgot.
The one that Bobby did has a good team chart.
Where did you go? And Everybody Get Up. Everybody Get Up is a bop. I'm secretly worried that it's got more like
DMT.
AI
No, that's
in
the
it.
one you did though. Everybody get up, right?
Everybody dance
Or what?
Yeah.
What is the name of it?
It's everybody something.
Everybody Get Up.
Oh, it is Get Up. Okay.
Yeah.
That one has a good team chart though.
I think a lot of great team charts came out, but unfortunately,
Me and
when it
Zephyr
comes
played
to nominating the best charts of this drop, I think you and I, Eesa, are gonna feel pretty similar. I think we're gonna say Speed King, and Speed King, aren't we?
Speed King is the best. More charts and songs like Speed King and videos.
The parallel.
The video's pretty amazing. I gotta say, I think my favorite of all the charts were actually the Hard 17. I can see that being one of the early division, one of the hypest songs in an early
I
division
just
of a
love the
tournament.
Wild 24. It's so much fun.
I like
your
the team
pad
even
before?
better. The team chart is even better. Did you do that one, Bobby?
To what? Speed King?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
did the team chart.
No.
It's not better than the Wild. The Wild's just so fun.
I mean, I have a hard time keeping up with the Wild. I love it. I'm just, I'm old and
I have
slow.
such a good score in it. There's something wrong with me, but I don't know how. But I want to beat it. I can beat that score even though it's good. That song is so good.
Yeah, my favorite part about that Hard 17 is just how it ramps up and up and up. It just gets more and more unglued as the song goes. And I would just love to see 2 really close competitors really fighting on that one. That's what I'm trying to engineer. I'm just going to be sitting over the card draw station for every division that has 17s in it, just being like, so you're going to protect Speed King, right? You're making Speed King happen? But yeah.
Yeah,
is
no
that
one is allowed to ever ban Speed King.
So yeah, you got to play Speed King when it comes up. House rule.
Yeah.
And then I also really liked the Dancing in the Dark. One, I found the background fascinating because I don't know what it's saying like artistically, and I want to get back to that. But I also liked just how chill and easy and relaxing it is to step those out. They're like the easiest APCs for their categories in existence. Like, you want to pick up an APC, go play Dancing in the Dark, whatever difficulty you want. You gotta, like, it's gonna feel a little slow for a second. You're gonna play it 3 times and you're gonna get the APC. You're gonna feel so good about
Is
yourself.
that the K-pop one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the K-pop one at the drag show, and that's the part I'm curious about. Like, there's some kind of exploration about identity going on in this, and I could not get anyone to engage with me, including in the YouTube comments of the video, because I went to the video and I'm like, yo, hey, anybody like enmeshed in Korean culture can tell me like what this means. So if you want to have a discussion about this, go to our podcast Discord. There, we plug the Discord. We never plug our Discord. Why is that? And say, Zephyr, here's what I think about the dancing in the dark background. Because me, I'm a little like, is this guy exploring his own view, like his own identity, or like his own comfort around these concepts? Like, what does this mean? Or is it just like, hey, we had to film a show? Like the music implies like there's some kind of like this guy is in a closet about something and he's grappling with it. But for all we know, that's not what it means, because I don't like. I don't know. I want to know more about it. Like what it culturally, what it is, you know, is what it means when they're all wearing masks and when he's taking his mask off, and you know, like there's so much implied symbolism. But is it just noise or not? I gotta know. And I'm sorry, that was a long ramble. I feel like we should cut it out of the show.
So all I got from that song was that they used so much auto-tune that I thought it was an AI vocal. And that distracted me every time I played it. So that's all I could remember about it. But yeah, I played when I was in Houston and I got to visit Jelly Slosh. I played the lower fold mode charts, like the 16, 17, whatever they were, whichever songs. And I thought they were really good, those charts, for what they are. That's about the only feedback I have for the song drop.
There, I'm on Speed King now for Easa's sake. I'm only going to flash it because it's so bright. It's so poppy for a minute. So, okay. I guess that's it for the song drop. Eesa, did you have any edits in the last couple weeks that you really wanted to highlight? I haven't been playing any edits myself.
Oh man, did I? I don't remember. I'm not prepared.
Oh, that's fine.
But
we could just...
you know what I'm gonna play is that JJK is making an edit to Speed King.
Heck yeah.
Pretty good.
Maybe he'll debut it tomorrow, which is probably in the past.
He showed me his video of him trying it out before it was published.
But maybe I'll get to play it before this podcast comes out, but after now we're recording.
It's like super duper hard.
Local event. Is it like
probably
a 26 or 27?
No, it's a 27. He has it rated.
Oh, okay, never mind. I'm not playing it. I'll watch him play it. Is it a wild or a full?
Yeah, just one player.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess let's wrap up the segment. Let's get to our Jamesy, our Landino boy. Do we want to hop on over to our main segment?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think there's like some kind of approaching. I don't know. Like something seems to be on the collision course with us, and I think it's the main topic segment. So brace yourselves, everyone. I think it's coming like any second. Just watch out. Yeah. Hi. Yes, we introduced you somehow. Well, welcome to the show, James Landino. What a surprise that you're here.
Hello. How are you doing? I just came from down there. How are you?
Oh, we just came from so many places. I'm crazy nuts busy, like I think we all are. I'm running a local tomorrow, an SMX tournament. So this is all last second by the bootstraps or whatever. But we're here. We planned this months ago. We planned this, last October, I think I reached out to you.
It's been a while. I'm glad we're doing it. I actually have a question for you. This is now my interview to you guys. Like, I'm curious. Do you feel like, because you mentioned the local tomorrow, and I'm like, do you feel like the scene has, like, the dance scene has grown, or has it changed, or is it less than what it used to be? Because we've all been in the scene for 10 plus years, give or take. Like, I think all of us in the room, right, have been involved in some capacity.
In and out.
Was that?
I'm in and out.
Oh, okay.
I had a long hiatus. I just got back in 3 years ago.
Oh, okay. Because my impression was that there weren't really like locals, like maybe there were locals that were like meetups, but I feel like there wasn't a lot of that, at least when I was growing up.
So I think this is going to be entirely like anecdotal from all of us. It seems like the dance game community is as active on the local level as it was back in like 2003 for me when I was first into dance games. I feel like I can attend just as many locals now as I could back then. The difference is I see way many more national and international level tournaments. Like the first international tournament I could really attend was ITG, and that was years into playing this game. It was the first ITG nationals here in Las Vegas where I live. And then these days there's like 4 national level DDR or SMX tournaments a year, whereas like DDR and Pump and ITG get like half a dozen each a year. So I think those definitely, the regional and national and international ones have definitely exploded. I think that's because just more and more people are online, but like we just all exist online. I don't think more people are playing the step games. I think probably fewer are, but this is where I'm totally out of the know because I'm a private owner sitting here, like you're looking at our webcams. All 3 of us are private owners who go to the arcade just to socialize and get out there with our friendly dance gamers. So yeah, throw to the other 2 of you.
I feel like we're getting a lot more like players that have never played dance games before, like especially in the StepManiaX Discord. We're seeing people pop in and be like, "Hey, I just started playing. I've never," and then we're like, "Oh, did you play DDR or whatever before?" And they're like, "No, just saw StepManiaX in the arcade or wherever it was."
Games
so I feel
done
like we're bringing in new people to the whole genre of dance or rhythm games.
Yeah, it definitely matters where you live, though, and if you have people willing to run tournaments.
Right.
I don't think there's ever like anything here where I'm in Tucson, but some of my friends in Phoenix ran like a little local Pump It Up thing a few months ago.
I'm guessing most conventions these days, because there's a bajillion conventions now. Like I imagine those have like a lot where the tournaments are. Like if you call it local or regionally, yeah.
So events like Beast in the East, is that what you mean? Like multi events? So
like cons?
Oh,
Dance
cons
games
don't tend to
plus
have a
fighting
lot of,
games together
they have like
forever.
really casual tournaments, not the kind that we talk about on the show. They do exist and they do get people excited. Those tend to be DDR tournaments. I don't see a lot of games outside of that because that's the popular known name. Like if you went to Ye local Anime Con and they had a tournament, it's more likely to be a DDR tournament than an SMX tournament. And I'm an old lady, so I don't actually know if people still do a lot of those. I know I would be happy to, like if my local con said, "Hey, we need somebody to run, a StepManiaX local." I'm like, I have machine, will travel, like this thing moves, and I'm friendly with arcade owners who are very likely to let us move machines to those events too. So it's probably I see SMX machines everywhere at events because I see people report on them on like Discord channels. I don't know about that many like organized events around them. I'd love to see more, but I think when people are at cons, they're not really that focused on this one game that they're not really into. And this game is pretty niche. We have like 10,000 people that super actively play it, so it's not gigantic.
I would love to see more online tournaments. I play the StepMania ITL yearly thing, and so you guys, we need to do a SMX edits online tournament like ITL. Come on, let's go.
With the new Desktop Man like website and the API and stuff that he has available now, we could totally do something like ITL.
Yeah.
Like where it automatically takes in the scores and everything.
Because it can keep track of the edit scores because the edit scores are on the app. And if we just like have the edits that are in the tournament, API. Let's go.
Just not me. I'm dance game saturated. We do this podcast. I do like multiple tournaments a year. I didn't do an online tournament this year. I was hoping someone else would pick it up, and that still might happen because there's plenty. There are some. There was one already, wasn't there? That somebody started up, I think. There was a team one recently.
Well, we're doing the online tournament.
You guys are in it. That's why you're together right now.
That's the last one too. That's
best
the last
teammate.
Team Puppy Cat. So do you, Bobby, how do you feel? Like you actually play at an arcade all the time, even though you're a private owner, you tend to get down to that
Well, I
local
mean, back
arcade we
back in
got.
the day when I played in the arcade, I mean, like I wasn't really online too much, and like there'd be like a couple major ones in Vegas, like Adventure Dome, and like when I saw Kyle for the first time. But like nowadays with the internet access, like yeah, I see a lot more tournaments compared to what was like 10, 15 years ago. But once Drew and everybody else was saying, it was the fact that I don't think we noticed this too much because a lot of us weren't as online as much. But now it's like I see them like every month. It doesn't matter what state you're in, pretty much. I mean, unfortunately, like there's some states where it's not very like popular, but I mean, East Side, West Side, like I see there's like a tournament like at least once a month of somebody doing something.
And this game specifically, this game is getting bigger and bigger. And I think that's just it's getting a larger part of the same niche game. I hope it's the whole, genre. I'm hoping the whole genre is growing. But from my perspective, it looks more like SMX is eating in a little bit to pump it up in DDR, and it's just capturing more of the new players as it gets bigger. I would like to hope that it's actually expanding dance gaming in general. That's definitely what I like to see, and I know it's about doubling every year because that's how many more people are showing up to a given competitive event. The competitive events get about twice as many people who want to sign up every year in the same skill ranges and everything as people get better and better.
Yeah, that's awesome. I forgot. Yeah, someone told me recently that like I think the first there's like the first StepMania cabinet, like X cabinet, is at round 1 now. Like that wasn't the case, and I was like, wait, I thought they had a deal with Konami, but I wasn't sure. Is that true?
Yeah, there's some at round 1s.
Every round 1 eventually will have a StepManiaX cabinet, at least one. And most of them have one by now, I think. A huge
Yeah, I
number of
believe
them.
Dave and Buster's 2 is the next one that's supposed to come up.
That's awesome. Hell yeah.
Yeah. That's why you can't get these stages right now, because they are all getting eaten up by the big chains that have signed on.
Yeah, the very first Dave and Buster's StepManiaX cabinet was actually in my town, one of the suburbs, well, West Des Moines. So it was like the very first D&B that got one. Been like over a year. I think it's been like almost exactly a year.
That's so sick. I mean, like admittedly, I wasn't the biggest Pump It Up fan, but whenever I had the choice, I was always a little bit like about Dave and Buster's back in the day because it was only Pump It Up cabs. I was like, but I want DDR. I want ITG. That was my 15-year-old me. Like that's where I would have gone. It's a cool time, I must say. It's a really cool time. I wish I had more time to be a proper gamer.
We all had big breaks in our dance game history ourselves. Like none of us has been playing for the last 20 years straight. We've all had years and years breaks, except for maybe Bobby. I think maybe you've been playing
I had about a good 4 to 5 year break. I was just nobody else was doing it around like in Vegas. Like everybody kind of did their own thing, and then out of the blue, like everybody got back into it. I'm like, well, I might as well get a machine again.
Yep.
So, all right, going back to that beginning, I said I reached out to you last October because I said, oh, this guy. Hey, I bet he's friendly to DMs. I could find him somewhere, and I forget how it was an email or I found you on a Discord server or somewhere. But I said, hey, you got 2 songs. I bet more are coming. Turns out none have come out since then, and maybe more are not. My understanding is you don't even know if you have more songs coming into this game, or at least none that you can tell us about. And that has been the case since October. And so we said, hey, let's hold this guy until he gets another song in, because let's be honest, so popular, we're gonna get another Landino in here, and it hasn't. So a couple months ago, I just reached out and said, hey, let's just do it now.
But yeah, no, I appreciate you reaching out, and I don't know if I think the honest answer is at this time there is no confirmation, but I feel like I can't say that because if there was something coming, I also can't say that. So who knows? If more are coming, I would love to make that happen. But I would say that the whole journey to me being on the game it feels like it's been like a 4 or 5 year journey because people like different staff members have tried to connect me to Kyle or some other head of development. And there was always interest from both parties. It just never quite happened for whatever reason. And there was at one point, StepManiaX reached out to a game developer. For any reasons, I can't say which game, but they wanted to get music from from this game soundtrack that I had worked on to then be in the game. But because of other reasons, that didn't happen either. That was like 2 or 3 years ago, I think. And so I think when I was at MacFest, not last year, it had been 2022 now, 2023 MacFest January. There we go. I had met one of the leads of development who had then made it much more possible to like finalize, make a thing happen. And that's where Stars and Our Sense Bizarre was able to get in the game from that point onward. But it really did feel like a 5-year journey.
How do we pronounce the name of that song? Say it very slowly in a clip to where we can just clip
We already
it.
knew this.
I didn't know this. Okay. Our Sense Bizarre.
Yeah.
You're the artist. You get to say how it's pronounced.
I mean, am I saying it wrong? Now you're making me feel like I'm a fucking...
I think some people say
decide.
Arzen.
Arsene, right?
I think Arsene is
yeah.
Or like a Z
Arsene
or
is
an
how they
S.
say it in French. But,
It's
like-
from like an anime or something, right? The Arsene.
No, it's a French spy novel.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I looked it up. It's Arsene.
Arsene.
Yeah,
Okay.
but like you could say this is some
Arsene.
other character name I've made up, and their name is Arsene or whatever.
Arsene.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you could GIF it. You could GIF this.
Yeah. I didn't realize this was a hot take. Like these are hard hitting questions. I'm getting hit out of the gate with like, what's the name of your song?
I didn't think so. I thought it was pretty established.
So in general, StepManiaX reached out to you in this case,
Yes.
you were being reached out to. You were not reaching out.
Yes, I was. Now this feels like where it's like, you know, like you're asking like your partner, like, oh, who's into who first, you know, like, oh, you know, they're cool about it, right? But in my opinion, I think they lightly reached out more properly. But if I'm being honest, I think it was more of like a little Twitter dance between us. Like people would tag me, I would like their tweets, they'd like my tweets. You know, it was kind of like that. It just felt like rhythm game flirting. For like
so
5
you
years.
made it known in advance that you were a little into dance games and a little into music rhythm games.
If I'm
first.
available, you know, if I'm free, yeah.
You're on the market, so to speak.
Exactly.
So yeah, tell us about let's back up a little bit. Let's talk about you for a while. You were asking about dance games in the community. We need to know about your CVs as an artist and obviously as a music rhythm gamer. Like you're on the Music Rhythm Game podcast. We gotta judge you. So
Yeah, what was the first
go.
DDR mix you ever played, or what? What is
Yeah,
that
what
what
was
we
your first
usually
music
ask?
rhythm game?
I want to say the first, even though like I want to say the first cab I played technically was Extreme. I want to say it was Extreme. It was I don't think it exists anymore, but I was like 10, 11 years old, and in New Jersey, there's a little beach town called Manasquan, where like they had like a boardwalk with some like little arcades in the harbor, and I don't think it exists anymore because there was that really big hurricane, I think, that kind of destroyed a lot of the beach boardwalks of the area. But yeah, I believe the first cabinet I ever played was Extreme at that time, and that's when like everything kind of clicked for me. Like, oh my god, I love this. I never gave rhythm games a real chance back then, but that was like the first time where I was like, oh wait, like this kind of fucks, and I want like, you know. Growing up, as weird as this sounds, I didn't really like a lot of music that I heard in my lifetime, like just on the radio. I was only exposed to what mainstream radio like showed me because the internet was still kind of figuring itself out, and it was before like Kazaa and LimeWire, where you could find more music. And so like DDR was like my first time being exposed to like, you know, all the genres and styles of music that I'm like, whoa, what is all this? I've never heard this in my life. So then you go down that rabbit hole. And then, you know, like on websites like BamaniStyle.com and Flash Revolution that had all of like the where everyone could like submit their own like charts and you could download them. Like that was how I got exposed to so much awesome music that kind of led to me becoming a composer for video games.
So did that influence your early music career? Tell us about your music career.
Yeah, sure. But yeah, so it all kind of happened at once. Because I was playing DDR and like whenever I could, you know, at the tender age, like 10 or 11, like you know, at an arcade or here or there. And then at the same time, I was going to computer camp in the summertime, and one of the students at the computer camp was playing Flash Revolution, and I was like, whoa, this is the coolest thing. You can play in the computer. And so from going down that rabbit hole, Flash Revolution at the time, I think still does, you could submit your own charts of music. And I grew up, my parents had a rule for me and my brother, which was that, growing up, we had to play at least one musical instrument from we were, until the end of high school. My instrument was piano, and I could not fucking stand piano. I want to quit piano every day. Like, I hate the piano. I didn't really like music, and but at the same time, I loved video games. Like, I went to computer camp because I wanted to make computer games for a living. Like, I wanted to be a game developer. And Flash Revolution was kind of like this, like, all these things kind of coming at once of like, wait, like DDR and Flash Revolution, and I technically know how to play piano, and I can submit my own music. I could become a composer. And that was really kind of like the I think the real inception of like everything coming at once. And from that point onward, I just started writing music for StepMania and FFR. And I think my first like approved song, I think I was like 13, 14 years old. And I just kept going from there. I think over the course of my days in FFR, I think I had like 20, 25 songs there. So I just wrote a lot of music. And then I think my first paid gig was a game called iDance. I don't know if you guys know that one. Remember iDance?
We know iDance, but like the general audience of human beings that probably our audience mostly knows iDance, but not everyone's gonna know it. Please tell everyone what iDance was.
I always feel like you guys might be able to explain it better, because I was like 14, 15, like I got a contract, and like that's just like what is all this? And my parents are like, what are you doing on the internet, son? What's happening? But yeah, so as far as I understand, iDance was built. I want to say that this was like part of something that Kyle was involved in with. It wasn't ITG, but it was like something in that zone, and it was marketed towards like schools and communities to like it was like ITG StepMania, but not, and it was targeted towards a lot of like youth communities and like exercise, I guess, spaces. That's my light understanding of it. I never actually played iDance though.
The main feature was you could connect up to, I think it was 20 or 32 or something stages. It had like fairly decent quality metal stages for home setups. And you could have up to like 20, 30 something. And like the chart on the TV would just like give you feedback at the end. Everyone saw the same chart scroll at the same rate and played it all together. So it was like, but like each of the stages were legit, like had sensors in them, and they were reporting wirelessly back to the game, so that they didn't have to all be connected with like some crazy wire setup. They could just be wheeled out in the cart during fitness day at a school or something. This was like the last. Was this the last dance game that Kyle and a lot of his crew worked on before StepManiaX? This is something Word and Bobby could answer a lot.
I honestly don't know. I think he always has his like hands and like all sorts of things at once. So he probably had a lot of things going on. It's probably the time he did Pump Pro and all that other kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a pro team. You were an iDance.
Yep, iDance 15 it was the first paid gig. It was like that was like the validating moment of like, oh, I can do this for a living. $200, let's go. Sky's the limit.
And dance games never paid more than that.
Yep. Oops.
Okay. So you've had your hands on a lot. You've had your music in a lot of pots. I'm guessing that doesn't pay like music rhythm games, probably, since they're so indie and so low budget. I'm guessing the license fees. Are you comfortable talking about what a typical one is? I don't want you to say how much money you made for having the ones in SMX, unless you're super comfortable with that. But that feels like a little bit like we're asking you to break some confidentiality there.
No, you're good. I think to that point, I won't say the exact number, but I will say that that the range of rhythm games, because not everything is like super indie. At least the projects I've worked on, right? Like Tunithm is Sega. Other games like from developers like Rayark, right? Or Pero that makes a Muse Dash. Budgets have ranged all over the place.
Konami is huge.
Yeah. So I would say like and this is for any composers who are listening or people who do write music for games. My ranges have been from $500 for a licensed song to all the way up to like $4,000 a song, right? So it's all over the place. So they're I don't want to say the words like there's money to be had, but I would say that for people who are, experienced in their craft and feel like their songs are worth it, like you can ask for like a decent amount of money for these projects. They have the budget for it.
Presumably some of the big names in Just Dance that are like real, the Disney tunes did not go for $4,000. They probably went for $40,000 or $400,000.
The big boy licensing, like Just Dance types, that's a whole different kind of tier of licensing. But when it comes to like the rhythm game, otoge kind of music, I would say it's more in that zone of like the X $1,000, like nothing crazy, but
hundreds
still
to thousands.
Yeah.
You can't be like, send me one of these one of these games for free, and that's my consideration.
That'd be sweet. If I had space for it, I would done. All right, you should negotiate my next StepManiaX deal. This is great. Give me the whole cabinet.
Give me the whole fan.
The shipping would be half the cost.
I know. Yeah.
So you got approached. What is the process like when Step Revolution and you get together and you're like, they have said we want your music, and you say yes, I want my music in your game. How do you, maybe not necessarily negotiate financials of it, but how does your song get cut up and put into the game? Like from your perspective, what do you see? Do you just hand them off like master files? Are you handing them off, the highest quality FLAC that you have, and then they're playing with it? Like, how much what do you give them? What do they ask for? Like, what does that email chain look like? As as non, again, like don't leak DMs or nothing. But what's that process like?
The process in most cases is pretty simple. So, it's, hey, we really like you and we like your music. And I'm like, hey, I like you too. I like your game. And then, usually what goes is like, I think from the original email, they had mentioned like, hey, we're interested in these lists of songs. But if you have any others, like throw them our way. And I'm like, cool, here's all my music ever. Have at it. Let me know what you're interested in. And in most cases, so the songs that at least I was able to properly discuss of what could be in the game were songs that I own the rights to. Because a lot of the work that I do, even though it's on other rhythm games, sometimes I'm not allowed to, like, the world of rhythm games and companies and stuff, right? So some songs I would love to get in more games, but a lot of rhythm games, can't name names, will have deals where it's like, okay, James owns the song, but he's not allowed to have them in other music games without our permission, right? So those songs I don't pitch because I just don't want to make a fuss of anything. But broadly speaking, I still have a bunch of music, so I send them over to them, like, hey, let me know what you think. And then they're like, great, we like this, we like that, this and that. It's like, you're a kid at a candy store, right? You're like, ooh, I like that one, I like that one. And then from there, I think we finalized on the two songs that are in the game, Stars and Arsene's Bazaar. And then I think they asked for like a shorter, like edited version that I think that incentivizes better, mapping and charting, right? And then it was simple as that. And that was just like, great, like, cool. I give you files. You walk me through what you guys are doing with it. Like how for Stars, how like they created a model of me, which was a surprise. I did not ask for that. They surprised me. They were like, James, look what we did. And I was like, what the fuck?
Kevin Turner goes all out a lot. It is ridiculous how much that man puts into some of these backgrounds.
I love it. Yeah, they're amazing. They're so cool for doing that. They did not have to do that, and they went all out. They were so excited to show me, and I like truly was like really like just like humbled and like just. It was just really cool. They didn't have to do that. I really appreciate them. And that's why and they say it themselves, like they don't have the biggest budget when it comes to licensing. But for me, like just knowing that they're just like good people and they really care about what they're making, like for me as a composer, that's more important than like a dollar sign, like hands down. So that's why I'm like, oh, I love StepManiaX already for what it was before I talked to them, but then getting to know the team, getting to know how they treat like everyone involved, for me at least, it was like, oh, whoa, like I really love this. And if there was more opportunities, you know where to find me. I'm available.
DJs seem to love this game. You're not the first DJ that I've talked to that has like just come out straight out like, I love this game. I love how Kyle interacts with me. I love the process I go through. They can give me peanuts and donuts and cheeseburgers as consideration for my songs. You know, like our mystery DJ, who we cannot announce on this podcast today because there are some hiccups that I would love to be out of the way so that I could have done it right after we recorded this section. But like he had nothing but positive things to say, and like that's why he's doing it. Like it's not making him bank. He's coming out because he loves this game and the community around it and the music in it and the fact that, you know, he gets to do all the music for it. Yeah, what you're saying is something that we hear over and over from artists. Anyone that comes onto the games Discord says the same thing. So they're not just giving you the special treatment because they like you. You know, it's you're getting apparently just they're very artist friendly, and maybe that's because they can't afford a whole lot of money, so they have to be friendly and nice. Or maybe it's because, you know, Kyle is just a very friendly guy who knows how to schmooze you when he meets you. But
yeah, well, hey, it works, you know, and like I don't need special treatment. It's if anything, it's nice to know that they do this with other people as well, because that tracks with what I've seen with other talent, what I've seen with honestly with the community. Like when I went to MagFest this past year in 2024, like I was only at MagFest for like 8 hours, and so like after I was done DJing, I booked it to the arcade and I started playing, and then like more and more like community members just came in, said hi, we played together. I was just chatting them up. I just really like how vibrant the community seems to me. I really do enjoy that. It's fun.
Okay, I'm gonna let everyone else ask questions. I have like one more that's I have two more, but the other one will come way later. Very important question right now. How much time have you gotten to play this step game? Have you gotten to play it at all?
StepManiaX or Horizon, what's it called?
StepManiaX.
Yeah, StepManiaX, yes. I have been able to play it only at conventions, because that's usually when honestly, that's when I have the most downtime, and conventions will have the arcade. So I'll have like a free day, like after, you know, a panel or whatever, and I'll be like, I'm gonna go to the arcade, see you later. And so I've played like, I'd say I would play like some significant gaming on it. I'm more of a DDR head, so I, you know, will play that more often, like at least in Japan, right? So I live in Japan, just doxed myself, but I live in Japan, and you know,
the apartment didn't give you away.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so I'm more of a DDR player just by accessibility. I think there is one StepManiaX cabinet like in Hokkaido or something.
but I think it's in Tokyo or wherever WGC is.
WGC is it's like far west suburb of Tokyo.
If I can remember correctly, it might be a little bit south of Tachikawa.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like there's like one cabinet. I wish there was more, but there's only one. But so I usually just go play DDR down the street when I have time, and do that. So yeah, but I would say I've played a handful of times on StepManiaX. Get a good hour in here, a good hour in there. Yeah, I'm not that's why like I haven't had like all the time in the world, and I wish I had more time in general to play broadly video games. But it still feels good to like just go at it.
You've gotten to play your songs in this game.
Yes, yeah. Which kind of feels weird. It feels a little bit like I'll do it for like my own hee sake, but it does feel a little weird to be like I can't just pick my song every time. If anything, if I'm around other people, I don't pick my own songs.
You can never grind your own songs for score.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well, we kind of are on the topic. I wanted to ask, so we talked about there's only one cabinet in Japan. Do you think that it will gain traction, or do you think DDR has such a strong hold, or do you think it's a combination of that and the different kind of music? It's more Western music. Like, how much do you think those couple different things has, or do you think it's just because like it's so hard to ship a cabinet over there?
I think there's a few things at play based on what I have noticed. I think at the baseline, I think there is truth that many arcades have relationships with these these big publishers, arcade publishers like a Sega or a Konami or whom else. And I think, just real talk, I think that they don't want to ruin these relationships. And so, like, even if they could, if someone from this company was like, hey, we really like you to not have this, you know, I'm not saying this is what's going on, but this is only my understanding of how business works. They probably want to maintain that relationship. If they do have these big publisher titles in their arcade, they also don't want to have competitors without some kind of relationship. So I think there's one layer of that. I think another layer.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think another layer. Oh, sorry. Damn it.
Keep talking over each. It's that delay. We're so many seconds apart. There's the possibility too, and this is complete speculation, and I will not shove these words in your mouth. But there's also the possibility of, hey, this could just be part of the deal when StepManiaX was, you know, when they decided, when Kyle Ward visited Konami headquarters in 2015 or whatever, and they had to sit down and they all agreed, like, this is all on the up and up, and like this game is going to get published and made. There could have been like a turf agreement, like, hey, you guys, you stay out of these parts of these Japanese arcades. You know, this is total complete, like, not even speculation, but like a possibility that exists.
Right.
But I guess we'll see if round one in Tokyo starts getting, you know, StepManiaX cabinets. That'll give us a pretty good idea of if at least an agreement like that exists and isn't being enforced. And sorry, continue.
No, you're good. But what you're saying, I think, then goes into kind of my other thoughts on this. That admittedly, I don't know how strong the Japanese community is for StepManiaX. I'm guessing it exists, but it is minor. That's my understanding. Is that correct?
Yes,
there's
I believe
a few
so.
pretty dedicated players, but there's only a couple, like a handful.
Right. Yeah, and I think, and this goes more into my I've lived here for a year now, but I've been going to Japan for like 10 years now. And for me, who's been here now for a year, I think this seems to hold truth in some level, that Japanese people tend to be a little more hesitant on new things, especially if not everyone else is doing it. And I think that it's kind of this little catch-22, where I think in order for StepManiaX or anything to kind of be accepted and embraced, you know, by everyone, I think it can't just be, here's a new thing. I think in order for StepManiaX, I think, to find traction in Japan, I think they would also have to market it or include things in a way where Japanese gamers can feel like, oh, this is still familiar. And maybe to you and I, it may be familiar enough from a DDR or other things, but I think that there's supposed to be even more familiarity. And I would assume that the soundtrack selection is part of it. I think that I think soundtrack selection is part of it. I think that the kind of branding it has is part of it too. You know, there's I think those are things we would have to be mindful of if StepManiaX were to push harder for it.
Well, like StepManiaX is very like casual friendly and family friendly, and then things like 2DX and DDR, they're like super gamer mode focus, like hardcore gamer focus kind of. It seems to be how they're kind of presented.
Yeah, and I think it also has to do with, I think, just like in general, there's, and I don't mean this is necessarily a bad thing, but I think that there's a reason why if you go to 2DX or DDR, there's just a lot of the same names over and over again, because that's what the audience wants. Like a lot of Japanese consumers, like gaming consumers, as far as I understand, is if they like something, they just want more of that same thing, more or less. And I think that they're open to different things. Of course they are, but I think that just takes a little bit more mindfulness of how that's presented to them, because I think that they want that same thing. They're like, oh, I like this, I'm gonna keep doing that. And so I think that has its own consequences that I have opinions on, but overall, I think that's how I think you can find success in a StepManiaX having more traction, is bringing that familiarity to them.
So more Naoki songs. Got it.
I wish. I wish. That's how you bring me back, dude.
More Naoki songs. I'm a fan of more Naoki songs.
Yeah, me too. Those are all my faves. Now, I counted. There's like 16 in SMX right now.
16.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Let's get to 20 by the end of the year.
Yeah.
I love that. I love it. Never would have guessed, but I love it.
Word, you got another question?
Not on the top of my head, no.
Eesa, Bobby, go.
Honestly, like I know probably every song that you make is completely different in a way of like lengthwise, but like okay, so let's say you make a song. Does it take you 2 days, 2 weeks to finish it, or is it kind of depends on like how technical you want it to sound?
Good question. I would say for me, the honest answer is it depends on a lot of things, which is a lame answer. I think that it's like, especially when I work with a developer, a lot of the times, so I'm not going to say which game immediately, but on one rhythm game, I was presented a deadline that was like 6 days. And I was like, what? And they're like, yep, we need this in 6 days. I'm like, cool, okay, thanks. So it really can range. So a lot of times the answer is, well, when do you need it by? And they'll say, insert date here. And then I'm like, all right, well, if you want it in 6 days, just understand, it's gonna sound like something that I made in 6 days. You know, you kind of, you know what I mean? So
No,
I
understand.
yeah.
That.
So if I have a month, you know, in an ideal world, I try to write songs, you know, nicely within like 2 weeks, give or take. Just with like the process of things, taking my time, let things, you know, marinate. But on many game projects, even outside of rhythm games, actually on a project I did the end of July, I had to write 3 songs in 2 days. And they were like demos that I could work on later, but still it was like, okay, 3 songs in 2 days. Let's go. Yeah. It's like, all right. They understand because it was kind of an emergency situation, but
right.
that's the name of the game of when for me, who has to pay bills through composition, it's like, all right, I would love to make this the best thing possible, but also we gotta get these things done out the door. So it's a balancing act.
Yeah, that seems kind of like time rush on like 2-3 days just to have a whole song created just for them, like right off the bat. So I understand like putting 2, 3, 4 weeks into it to have like the kind of quality and the type that you want the song to actually sound like.
Absolutely. And the funny thing is too, is over time, it's been shown to me that sometimes the songs that I make in like 2 days time are more popular than the songs that I made like in like a month. Like it definitely has shown that time does not equal better in that, you know, or whatever better means, but time does not equal better received. It just seems like sometimes the songs that you make in 30 minutes or an hour are this goofy little things you make. And then everyone's like, I love this. And I'm like, why am I trying ever? Why should I ever try ever again?
Crab Rave was a meme.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Noise Storm is not super proud of Crab Rave. It's not one of his favorite works, but it blew up.
No, it's like the thing that they'll probably be known for. I think that probably pays all their bills for the rest of their life. And yeah, thanks.
I have an interrupting question that Bobby's reminded me of. From like we are in negotiation to the game dropping in the game. How long was that from your like from what you can tell? Was it weeks? Was it months? Was it a year?
I want to say it's been a hot minute. I want to say it was months. I want to say it was like some reasonable amount of months from I agreed on this, and then they were like, we believe it's going to launch this day or around this day. And I think, I would say it was like a season. I would say like 3-4 months is my guesstimation. If I go back to the email, I could be dead wrong, but that sounds right to me.
And I'm going to guess they were pretty accurate on the when it's going to release to within like a couple months, given how their pipeline generally works.
Yes, I would say that. Yes, they were pretty accurate to that estimation, and they were giving me updates whenever they could. Once again, I give props to StepManiaX because they will tell me when the thing comes out, because there are some handful of rhythm game developers. You'd be surprised, based on the name I tell you, which I can't, but that will not tell me. And I will find out the same time you do. And I'll be like, great, I wish I had known. I would have loved to have social media's done something to figure something out to market with you guys, but oops, it's here now.
Happens in every sphere, my friends. It happens everywhere. You will be the last to know. And it's like, shouldn't I have been in on this? Like maybe like I didn't need to be in the room where it got discussed, but like a CC on the memo or something.
You know, something like, yeah, just, I don't know, like a DM. I don't know. Hey, you'd be surprised.
Carrier pigeon, smoke signals, telegram, anything.
Yep, something. Yeah.
So I was curious. So you mostly work on deadlines. So you kind of, I was going to ask, like, how do you know when a song is done and you're going to stop working on it? So it seems like in your case, it's pretty much, you're going up pretty much to the deadline and that's kind of it. But like generally, if you don't have like a hard deadline, how do you figure out when it's finished and just it's done? Because we have, like, I'm thinking about, we have a StepManiaX community member that it's a music producer and they're notorious for never finishing anything ever. So I thought maybe you could comment a little bit on that.
So it's a good question.
Who senpai is.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a good question. And my philosophy on that is if I don't have a deadline, technically, I'm going to make one for me. Keeping my, because you're right. Like you could work on a song for 10 years and then you could say, this is the best thing I've ever written because I worked on it for 10 years and you know what I mean? But I think for me, in the way how I want to write music and how I want to, just create in general, I try not to like sit on something too long because then, like you said, I'll never finish it. I'll just be like, well, this snare could be better here. This mix could be better here. So I think for me, I prefer to force some discipline on myself to be like, all right, well, like for like if I'm releasing an original, like that's on like my own album, yeah, it's up to me really. So usually I'll just say, well, I want to write this song in 2 weeks, and I'm going to say 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. Like if I want to write 5 songs, because yeah, like the way I look at it is the more time I work on a song, that's also time that could be spent elsewhere too. So there's also that balancing act for me. My philosophy is force myself a deadline. I'm not trying to make a 10 out of 10 song. And I think that composers who I think are focused on the 10 out of 10, like I gotta make the best thing ever every time, I think they'll go down that perfectionist rabbit hole and they'll always chase something they'll never quite get. That's how I look at it anyway. Is I'm just trying to make like a solid 7 or 8 out of 10 in a reasonable time frame, so I can just keep writing more music and keep being inspired by more things. That's how I look at it.
Oh, if no one's jumping in, all right. Here's the controversial one that you said we could ask on this show. What do you think about AI music in music rhythm games? There was a recent controversy in StepManiaX. I was actually asked to talk about it on this show by a couple of people who DM'd me and sent out some tweets. And effectively, what had happened was, as far as we can tell, one of the packages of songs that got licensed into the game had at least the vocal track is AI. It looks like the cover art is AI generated, and it's possible that the entire song is AI generated. The steps do not seem to be AI generated anyway. They're banger step charts.
Yes.
But yeah, do you feel like weighing in on that? Like, do you feel that using AI like that as a tool? Do you feel like are there repercussions as far as do you consider it just a big old plagiarism machine that is like, oh, there's no like ethical way to do it because they never source it right? Or do you think there's a way to source that sound library correctly and it is a tool just like a Photoshop clone tool? Like open-ended question, answer however you feel comfortable.
Cool. Yeah, I think in the ideal world, there inherently shouldn't be anything wrong with AI to create things that makes our job easier, that inspires new ideas. In a magical ideal world, that's what I believe. But in reality, the thing is that like and I still kind of believe that in an idealistic sense. Like I still think there is good that can be done with AI created things. The issue for me then lies with, which I think it was lightly, kind of implied here, which I agree with, is that, how AI does generate things is derivative off of already existing things. And from my understanding, those existing things that are created were usually not given permission from the creators. They just throw everything that exists ever into a machine, and that machine then gobbles it up and then makes something new out of it. And by new, I mean they're directly taking ideas from an existing thing that someone did think of to create. So, you know, it is of course a gray zone. I think that it is a gray zone that needs to be monitored, and I think that music that is AI generated, I would probably want to know more about how it was made in a more of like an actual like kind of sauced, I was gonna say saucy. I need to know how the sauce was made for me to give a more nuanced opinion on that call. But the baseline, I'm usually of issue with that, because I think that not just from like a plagiarist standpoint itself, but like I was talking about this with a friend the other day. It's like if I were to push a button, like if such a button existed where I could press the button and then I made the best song ever, I pressed the button, I would be like that. Like I could not say to myself like, oh, I made this. Like in my heart of hearts, I couldn't say like, here you go, I made this thing, I pressed a button. And you know, if someone gets joy from that, like they actually feel like they create something, that's, you know, fine, all of them. But for me, I would not get that joy, because for me, creating music is not just the expression part, but it's also the problem solving part. It's also like the joy of like, I have this idea in my head and now I want to make it reality, and whoa, I actually did it. I was able to make it into reality. It's like a self-gratifying thing to know that I can think of something and then make it exist. So to press a button, I think kind of really takes away from my own joy of like writing things and creating things. And you know, this is kind of a cheeky way of putting it. The way that I think some people who call themselves AI artists, to me, it's kind of like they're not being an artist in that sense. It's like they're cosplaying as an artist. If
They're
that
a
makes any
prompt
sense.
generator.
Yeah, it's like
Sort of.
Yeah, like you know, I don't want to be aggressive, say like you're not an artist, like whatever. But just in my mind, it's like it's the same thing. I think that like when someone plays Guitar Hero, like sure, you have the feeling like you're a rock star, and that's cool, that's great, that's a great experience. But no, 99% of people are not going to say, oh, I play guitar, and then they pull a Guitar Hero controller, right? They just, as far as I'm aware, no one says that. And that's how I look at AI artists. So if someone says they're an AI musician and they press a button, to me that's the same thing. They're simulating the experience of being a musician, which may have some fun feeling to it if you're not if you have no music skills. But to then say you're a musician because you do that, to me it's like, well, are you serious, or are you being disingenuous here? What's going on? So that's how I look at it.
So I'm hearing that you not only feel that like expression is part of art, because like AI has expression, it's just expression. It also requires intent. It requires you to like put in to conceptualize and to put forth thought. So like every little thing inside your piece of art should be something considered. Like the wall in the back of my room shouldn't just be randomly generated. A person, like if they're making a movie, should be dressing that set with and by thinking what belongs here, not just leaving that up to AI. Ideally, you could have something where AI fills that if the point is it is background, like an anime shot where you're focusing on the foreground character, perhaps. You know, the intent is on the front, and you're deliberately saying the background here has no intent, and therefore it is fill. But then, so perhaps like AI could be a part of art, but only a component that is intentionally like, this is not the art part of the art. This is the bulk to get you. This is the bulk in the meal to get the art to you. And then the last thing that I hadn't even thought of, because this is how I felt, those two components are necessary for something to be art and to be legitimate and not just garbage, is struggle. You really put a lot of emphasis in the way you spoke about it, in like having to struggle, having to like, having to work, having to put something into it, not just thinking about it and like, not just being able to like think an image and it appears on a canvas, but actually having to learn the skills and abilities, the tradesmanship, the craft of an artist.
Right. I think there's truth in that, because the same reason why we play video games, it's not like what's the point of playing a video? In my mind, what's the point of playing a video game if you boot up a new game and then you put a cheat code in where you win automatically. Like you missed the whole point, in my opinion. So I think that the joy in it is, the whole joy and the whole thing is to go through that journey. So if you're just like, cool, well, I press a button, I boot up Dark Souls, I press a button, and now I just beat Dark Souls. It's like, well, do you feel satisfied from that? No, probably not.
And I would also add that that depends on the game too, right? Like The Last of Us, much less important you actually mechanically going through the game other than that experience, or like a Detroit Become Human, or some kind of game where the story is really what it is, and everything else is just a framing device around that. Mm-hmm. I would say that's a part where the gameplay, the skill of the game is less important than like, a classic Mega Man, where it's like, if you're not beating Mega Man, why are you playing Mega Man? Some people are playing Mario because they want to see the colors move around, and they want to see the pretty drawn handwork, and they want to see the progress of the game, but they might not necessarily have the ability to complete it, and so they might play the tutorial version of it. So I would say that that might be more of a how you engage with it, but there's absolutely artistry in, Battle Kid being a really hard game and being designed around how difficult it is.
Yeah, and to your point, like I'm not like to bounce off what you're saying. The same reason why like I get joy out of songs that I write in 30 minutes. That it's not like, oh, if I'm not sweating and beating my head against a wall to write the best song ever, then I didn't enjoy making this. No, of course not, right? Like it's all about the journey at the end of the day, right? If it's a Last of Us type of thing where you kind of go through this experience, that's all great and fine too. It's all about that journey. It really is about the journey, not the destination. However you get there is great. And in my mind, if I were to be nuanced about it, pressing a button pressing a single button and then it outputs this song made in 5 minutes, to me is not a worthwhile journey. And for me, at least, I would not say I'm a musician because I press a button and then a computer generates that thing. I maybe, if someone developed AI tools and was like, hey, I made this tool, look what this tool can do, I would be more saying, wow, that's so cool that this tool exists. But I'm not about to say, wow, you're such a great musician because you press that button. There's a difference.
And I agree. Like I have a podcast. I have opinions. I totally agree. I completely agree. And I do want to go back and say, like, I do agree that as soon as the sauce is questionable, the source of where that AI library is getting its fuel, it's little bits from your prompts to generate. Like, unless every piece that goes in there, I think food and sauce is a great analogy, because you could be allergic to something. You don't know what's in there unless you know everything that's in there, and it's completely compromised if you don't. And if one piece of art in there isn't properly licensed, then the whole thing is plagiarism. And that's this gal's like hard firm stance. I'm totally controversial. Nobody has this hot take. Just us hard hitting podcast hosts.
Right. Yep, I love it.
Bird, fight me on that.
I mean, I more of the like libertarian side, where like intellectual property is just kind of an artificial construct that people can choose to live by or not. So I'm not really the best person to really
this could be a long conversation about the value of intellectual property rights and what they bring to society.
I could actually add to that kind of topic, and you by the way, you're good, because I think a lot of a gray zone when it comes to intellectual property or just the property of things being made in the rhythm game space is when like charters will create. People in the communities will create charts off of music without permission of the musician, which is, and that's the thing, like me at age 13, like I did that too, like in my brain as we all did that. So I don't my philosophy has always been like, whenever like I've been like contacted by like people saying, hey, like, or I'll say another way, like when I found out on the internet that my song has been placed like by Charted in like an OSU, but like just as like a fan made thing, like that's all great and fine. Like for me personally, I don't care about that. Maybe some other musicians would have more issue if they had asked, and I would prefer permission first. But at the end of the day, like, I would feel like a hypocrite if I were to try to like shoot someone down or like tell someone to take something down. If like a fan wanted to make something that was used for like fan made purposes, just because they want this chart to exist in my song, because like that's how I grew up. So why would I stop someone else from doing that?
Yeah, like ITG doesn't exist as a commercial product. It's all just enthusiast and not for profit, or there's no revenue being generated.
Right.
Sorry, delay again. The more you get, the more you're represented by by corporations, and like I know you have an agent that represents you. Does that get harder and harder yourself to make those? Like, are more and more of those decisions like taken out of your hands too? Are there times when you say, "I wish I could say, hey, yeah, go ahead and make that ITG chart. I don't mind at all. Hey, go ahead and make that promo. Go make that promo piece that's going to end up being at a advertising in an anime music video contest for a con, and it's got my music in it. Go ahead." Like that's getting harder and harder to do, I'm guessing.
Yeah, there's truth in that because of management, or if a song is owned by a label or by a game developer, or if they just have any involvement with it, that gets hairy really quickly. The way I always try to explain to developers or other parties involved in these kind of things is like, if someone's like directly making money off the song, then maybe that's a different conversation. But in most cases, it's usually just fans who just want to make something cool and do some cool shit, and they're not doing it for money. That's pretty much my stipulation in most things. Like, I'll get emails from like students who are in college saying, "Hey, like I'm making this animation. I'd love to use your song for my animation, like or for my thesis." And I'm like, "Fuck yeah, like that's awesome. Like good luck with the thesis, I always tell people, like, if you're gonna make money off it, like outside of like YouTube ads, because I don't care about that, like go, just like let me know so we can figure something out, because I don't want anyone to get in trouble. I don't want, it's more for everyone's sake, right? So that's how I look at it.
In the States, you have to like actually have been given something to properly like allow them legally to do it. You have to have what's called consideration, or else like you just saying go ahead is like very non-binding and actually much more difficult from that standpoint. So literally the ham sandwich is like better than nothing. The pass me $5 or pass me some tiny royalty, even if it's like, even if the event never makes a penny, say give me a 10% revenue share off of the non-penny, and then that way at least like we have an agreement that's not just we had a DM on Discord.
Exactly. Yeah. And don't quote me on this, I'm not a lawyer, but to my understanding, like if I like say in an email, like, yeah, you can do something, that can be legally binding, even if there's no like written signed contract. But that's a whole different conversation. That's a different podcast. We're talking about California IP property.
Right. And it determines whether or not you have given like a thing. So like if you've done if somebody asks you to do something, that's where the consideration requirement kicks in. Not like if someone says, "Can I use your thing?" It's more of a they have to then be doing something that they would rely on you for. So it's can I ask you to not take this down? Can I ask you, like an expectation? If an expectation has been set, then they have to have an expectation back, or it's not considered a real.
99% of the time, most people just want to make cool things because they're just really passionate about it. So why would I ever want to get involved to like even like tamper with that? At the end of the day, it's like, oh, they want to make a cool thing? Great, go have fun, make a cool thing. That's basically it.
We love our artists that are easy to reach by DMs. You're not the first person I've said, "Hey, can I use your thing for a thing?" or call on you and just jump out here. Hey, dude, we're burning up your time. This is like the longest, like just main segment interview we've ever done. You're a fun, like final questions. Nothing? All right, let's outro. All right. Thanks, James Landino, for coming on our show, the Almost Perfect Cast, a StepManiaX fan podcast, or however we outro it. I feel like it's been 2 months since we did the show. We all got sick last month. We were going to have Desktop Man on. He was going to show us some cool stuff with his optical character recognition he was working on. There was going to be a lot of tournament talk. Anyway, thank you, James. Hey, I know you're the way bigger name than this little tiny podcast, but in case somebody doesn't know how to find you, like what's a good thing someone can like Google or find? Where do you want someone to find you if they're finding you from this podcast? You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, YouTube at James Landino.
The
James
name
Landino.
right there, hopefully. Right there, that one. Yeah.
And then all of our respective names are somewhere in the corners of where we are somewhere on this stream. I never know where I am until I watch back later. So I'm in one of these corners somewhere.
Yeah.
We're all on Twitch. That's the easiest way to find us, or on Discord. Like, all of our names are pretty close to this. You can find us on a Discord channel if you're listening to this podcast, and if you can't, I don't know. We're pretty easy to track down.
Links will be in the doobly-doo.
Oh yeah, we have a doobly too. I forget. Like, you're on top of this, Word. This is why you produce the show now. All right.
Oh yeah. Thank you all for having me. I appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun.
Cool. Thanks,
for
James.
coming on our show.
Thanks for talking.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
All right, and we will be back next month for I think that is I forget who our guest is. It might be Desktop Man. So until we figure that out, and until that day comes, keep on stepping, maniacs.
Goodbye.